are three deaths. The first is when the body ceases to function. The second is when the body is consigned to the grave. The third is that moment, sometime in the future, when your name is spoken for the last time. This is a quote by David M. Inhuman. The phone call. An all too familiar screeching reverberates inside your brain. The noise comes in waves. The pain follows suit. You try your best to ignore both, but the mere fact you've acknowledged the awful sound means it's already won. Your phone's alarm is simply much too loud to ignore. Defeated, your eyelids peel apart like sheets of rotting Velcro, blinking back at bad nights, bleary haze. You lie in bed, awake against your consent. The room is almost pitch black, save for the intermittent flashing of your phone's screaming screen. A rancid, if routine, stench of unwashed bedsheets bids you a bittersweet good morning. You're home, for better or worse. Mostly the latter these days. Just once, you wish you'd wake up somewhere else instead. Just once, you wish time would ask permission before racing ahead. But your phone doesn't care about what you want. That insufferable screeching drills deeper into your skull. You throw back your dirty blankets, blindly reaching for the misbegotten beast. Pick up the phone. The slab of thumb-smudged plastic feels comfortable in your palm. Most call the device ancient, but to you, it's cozy and familiar, like an old, if outdated friend. No oversized touchscreen, no fancy graphics card for mobile games, no constant access to so or so G network. Just a simple tool with a cute antenna that still allows you to disconnect. You've always appreciated the old and the analog, despite the wider world's obsession with digitized progress. There's serenity in physicality, a warmth to an object's weight. You'll cling to this relic as long as you can. Sensible upgrades be damned. Acquired old cell phone. You fiddle with the phone, desperate to stop the alarm, but no matter which button you press, the shrieking will not end. It's because this isn't your alarm at all. It's your ringtone. Squinting in the darkness, you barely make out the caller's ID. It's your aunt/landlady, technically speaking. Hopefully just your aunt today. The woman is exhausting enough when she isn't asking for rent payments, no matter how overdue they are. Still, did you really ignore a call from the one person still willing to support you between jobs? Have you decided yet? So this game is a demo. I'm just going to walk you through that real quick. It's another one that doesn't allow losing focus. Inhuman resources the demo. It's called a literary machination. American English would be machination. Inhuman resources. I don't know what to expect from this game. I don't know where it's going to go from here. I didn't know it was going to start this way. I do know that so far, I mean, it's interesting. It's an interesting story. Press the accept call button. We're just going to jump into. I think that's the most appropriate thing to do. Press the accept call button. Static crackles as your obsolete cell phone struggles to connect after you. After a sharp click, you mumble a hesitant, hello?
Así mi clamo.
Hey there, sweetie. Sorry for calling you out of the blue. Hope I'm not interrupting lunch. The scratchy facsimile of her bombastically condescending voice greets you on the line's other end. No mistaking here, dear auntie. But what's this about lunch? You flick on a light and glance towards your microwave's LED clock display. A shameful number stares back from the room's abyss. 1:29 p.m., it says. You wince a little and make up a half-baked lie pretending to talk with your mouth full. Your aunt doesn't seem to buy it. Well, I'm sure you're very busy with job applications today, so I'll get straight to the point. Do you have any idea when you'll be able to send me last month's rent? I know money's been tight lately, but it's already the 31st. One missed payment is bad enough, but two? Shit. Landlady it is. You feel yourself deflate a little bit, glancing to the tower of rejected job applications, standing proud and precarious. Upon your messy desk, the top sheet almost grazes your modest apartment's ceilings. Your aunt suggested to print each refusal, claiming they'd make your eventual hiring all the more rewarding. You found that the harder and harder to believe, you found that harder and harder to believe, ever since the letters started to outnumber the dollars in your bank account.
Así mi clamo.
Sweetie, do you have some kind of estimate for me? I would really need an answer today. Two decisions, you have no choice. Beg for more time to pay. Again, lie to her. Everything is under control. You need to get your shit together. We're gonna tell her something that isn't true today, but we're gonna go out and make it happen. You give your best impression of a confident salesman, laughing her worries away. Of course, you'll get the money. You have tons of promising interviews lined up. One is bound to work out. And when it does, you'll have such a crazy salary, you'll be able to pay the next 5 months in advance. I don't know, or something like this. You pause dramatically, awaiting your aunt's amazed approval. All you get is her bitter disappointment.
Tomó saca.
Sweetie, this is how you behave during interviews. It's no wonder you haven't been hired yet. I can smell you lying from over here.
Jimena Gomi.
Honestly, I'd be more willing to forgive hot delays if I knew you were actually trying, but you can't expect me to believe you've been pulling yourself up by the bootstraps and giving this job hunt all you've got when you've been lying in a pigsty for the past year. Pigsty? You deflect the woman's accusations, blabbering in desperate denial, but as your eyes drift over the sorry state of your apartment, your ramblings soon turn to tragic silence. You've been immune to the stench for a few months now, but no amount of time will ever make you blind to the altars of wretchedness your neglect has erected. On the floor, a crumpled stacks of crusty laundry that litter the unmopped ground like landmines in an active war zone. At your desk, fly swarms, styrofoam containers amalgamate themselves in awkwardly unstable modern art installations. Your largest one can only be referred to as the Leaning Tower of Takeout. In the kitchen, filthy cookware overflows from your sink, bathed in rancid dishwater. A layer of film has formed on the surface, thick as the crust of creme brulee. And even in your fridge, the outdated contraption hums like a thermonuclear lawnmower, even though you know damn well it's not keeping anything cold. Maybe ketchup packets if you're lucky. Pigsty or not, there's no denying that this whole unemployment business has been taking a serious toll. One that's gone on long enough for your aunt's pity to become well-deserved contempt.
Sigama no suku.
Well, what do you have to say for yourself? I think it's time to own up. She's right. You're scum. Worse than scum. She should just evict you and get over it. You throw yourself in a dramatic tirade detailing your utter lack of worth, the hopelessness of human existence, and the filthy trash-strewn ditch you deserve to die in. Preferably alone. By the time your aunt gets a word in edgewise, your face is slick with tears and mucus, your heart tied into painful knots. This is delusion.
Así mi clamo.
Enough. I'm sorry, all right? I didn't mean to be so harsh. Now calm down, please. It sounds like she's begging out of irritation. More than out of worry for your well-being, but you listen nonetheless, taking time to control your breathing and wipe away strings of snot. This is a child's behavior, really. What trauma has this person stuck in this childlike behavior, I wonder? The phone crackles with warbled noise as your aunt lets out a groan.
Jimena Gomi.
Good grief. I know this mental health nonsense you keep talking about is a big deal, but you've got to get it together and take action somehow. You can't just keep using mood swings as an excuse to escape responsibility. That choice will get you nowhere. You have acquired clinical depression. You brace yourself as the woman prepares to deliver her most frequent, most frustrating spiel. You could probably repeat it word for word if ever you were held at gunpoint.
Binge matani.
Remember, sweetie, in our world, choices matter. The big ones and the small ones. We can't always take those decisions back, and we can't control their consequences either. Which means we have to choose carefully. You most certainly have not been doing that, but if you have any intention of getting yourself out of this mess, you need to start making the right decisions, and soon. You mumble something non-committal, rolling your eyes at her endless nagging. The woman may be able to smell dishonesty, but she's nose blind to her own bullshit.
Penda vachuku.
Anywho, enough of that. The real reason I'm calling is because I might have an opportunity for you. You can tell by her inflection, she means a job opportunity. Your reaction is practically Pavlovian. You salivate at the thought of her unrelenting financial woes finally coming to an end. You grip the cell phone tighter, aching with anticipation.
Sigama no suku.
See, there's this problem employee at our company. He works at one of the local branches right next to where you live. But the man has a terrible attitude and is even more terrible when it comes to, well, whatever it is you think we do over there. You picture her limply waving a wrist in some vague, dismissive pattern. More of the highly confidential stuff she can't share, but brags about it anyway. Not that you're entirely sure what your aunt actually does for a living to begin with. Something to do with human resources, maybe?
Enjo kateme.
Needless to say, we'll be laying off the little sourpuss as soon as a fitting replacement is found. But we need that replacement fast. Company has a big business deal coming up. We can't afford to be short on staff right now.
Mojata mipe.
Luckily, I happen to know a certain someone in dire need of a job. And this position happens to be entry level. No major qualifications needed. Comes with a sterling letter of recommendation from yours truly. Now, this won't be an easy job. Supervisors are very strict and the anxiety has a way of following you home, but so long as you nail the interview, you're basically guaranteed stable income for as long as you need it. Smyrna Corp isn't prone to random layoffs.
Shakuni jata.
So how about it, sweetie? Shall I schedule something for you? We have to own what it is that we can, what we're able. Have her sub an interview promptly. High stress environment or not, it beats homelessness by a country mile. You agree to the offer with ravenous insistence. The woman breathes a sigh of relief and lets out a nervous laugh. It almost sounds like she's in ecstatic disbelief. But wouldn't she be?
Enjo kateme.
Thank goodness. You have no idea what it means to hear you say that, dear. You're literally saving my life. What does she mean by that? You should probably be the one telling her that, but you won't complain about receiving gratitude instead of judgment for once. Without missing a beat, your aunt hammers at her computer's keyboard, drafting you an email. You clamber your way out of bed, tripping over day-old takeout and mounds of dirty underwear as you rush towards your laptop.
Jimena Gomi.
I've booked the earliest appointment I could possibly find. You should get an email with time, address, and job description soon. Be sure to read everything carefully and do not be late. Mr. Burgard will skin me alive if I send him another unpunctual idiot.
Shakuni jata.
Oh, and make sure not to mention that whole depression nonsense during the interview. It might make Mr. Burgard think he needs to fix you. Fix you? Rather than offer answers, your aunt whispers farewell.
Binj matani.
Good luck, sweetie. I hope you'll forgive me for this someday. Click. The line goes deathly silent, save for a droning dial tone. You get an urge to call her back, but the ding of an invitation appearing in your inbox catches your attention first. Oh. Your interview is today at 4 p.m. sharp, no less. You can curse under your breath, rushing to shower and get dressed. Your stack of rejection letters gets knocked over by your charge and scatters across the room in a whirlwind of standard issue responses. You beg with every fiber of your being not to come home with a new failure to add onto the pile. Chapter complete. Proceed to the waiting room. Okay, I wasn't sure what to expect with this game. It's 100% along the lines of narrative. I don't know if we're going to get other visuals. Honestly, I have no idea what we're going to experience. If you stick with me, and I stick with it, we may find out whether or not this is intriguing enough to go beyond demo. I'm curious. Let's see what happens. The packed full city transit bus comes to a creaking stop right in front of an old building you've never seen before. Shoving your way past crowded commuters, you step onto an empty sidewalk. The vehicle roars away, fading into the misty afternoon and leaving you utterly alone. You briefly wonder if getting off here was a mistake. You review your aunt's documents, poring over the civic number, street name, and postal code as though every character were the cipher to some secret code. By the time you finish your third revision, you're forced to concede. This must be the right address. But it's not remotely what you expected. Nestled between two gleaming skyscrapers sits a much smaller and much stranger building. There's the unnerving facade. Glazed gray brickwork and pale veined marble unite to form a vast web of extravagant, monochrome patterns. But despite all the details, the sum total still gives off a sense of cold, calculated purpose. Almost like an anarchic graffiti artist were hired to redesign a palliative care center. That sounds totally bizarre. What's happening here? The decorative windows. As you climb the front steps, a set of circular, gold-tinted portholes stare down at you. They are unblinking like the eyes of giant deep-sea squids. The glass is too opaque to see through, yet you suspect someone is on the other side watching you approach. The massive front gates. Made from half-ton hunks of glistening cast iron, the double doors have been decorated with an intricate bas-relief of skyscrapers swimming in fog. A bit ironic for such a stout little edifice. And the bronze door knocker? The alloy had been smelted into the shape of a crowned king's severed head. The object looks so realistic you're scared it will be warm and wet to the touch. Unfortunately, you see no keypads, handles, ID scanners that would allow for easy entry. The local branch of Smyrna Corp is only 4 stories tall. It feels impossibly imposing. It's caught between outdated aesthetics and timeless sensibilities, somehow both outrageous yet invisibly subtle. As if meant to be forgotten at a passing glance and to haunt those whose gazes linger. You suspect you may be underdressed. Your clothes aren't filthy, of course. If anything, they're rather chic, or at least they used to be. Neither time nor depression have been kind to your apparel. For all the class your best outfit once had, overuse has worn it down to a discolored, threadbare husk. Meanwhile, lack of money, motivation, and belief you're worthy of nice things has prevented you from buying new clothes for the better part of 2 years. I'm telling you, depression and trauma, it has a way of eking into these parts of your life that you can hardly notice at times. Your world can become a bit gray, a bit dull, a bit underobserved by you. When you feel lackluster, the world lets that seep into its joins. Yeah. It's important to try to keep interacting somehow, finding ways to notice and connect. Regardless, what you've got will have to do. The hour of your interview approaches, and you won't have cash to afford a better outfit until this job is yours. Reach for the knocker and bang it against the door. The bronze object booms against the iron gates, even harder than your thumping heart. Moments later, something clicks and a latch comes undone. The doors groan themselves open, inviting you inside. You step into the building and are greeted by what seems to be a 5-star hotel's reception area. The room is utterly massive. with high ceilings that would rival a Renaissance church's cavernous belly. Its windows let no sunshine through, and no fluorescent light bulbs fill it with their pale glare. There are just low-hanging chandeliers and an array of green-glassed banker lamps, bathing the room in burnt orange. Upholstered sofas and coffee tables dot the space like islands, forming a winding path that leads to the room's distant depths. There, a woman stands behind a desk flanked on each side by gorilla jelly leaders. The sharp machine gun clatter of her mechanical keyboard echoes across the room. You appreciate the old and analog, but Smyrna Corp's apparent fondness is downright ridiculous. Hopefully, the receptionist won't feel the same way about your subpar outfit. Pretend to be confident. Stride over like you own the place. Or adjust your crappy clothes and meekly approach. With a little luck, it'll read as self-assurance, this pretense of confidence, instead of total fucking delusion. The dim light becomes dimmer the further you go, and the thick shadows close in on you like an claustrophobic walls. Wall-to-wall carpeting squishes under your feet, and an unfamiliar ammonia aroma assails your flared nostrils. Whatever they use to clean this space smells strong enough to double as a bioweapon, but still isn't enough to erase the lingering stench of cigarette smoke. The off-putting odor does suit the outdated decor, however. Except for those unsettling sculptures carved into the room's concrete support pillars, disturbing shapes that assail you from all sides, emerging from the shadows like pretentious interpretations of 21st century demons. On your left, headless nudes' bodies are contorted into pain as veins sprout from their skin like a tree's sprawling roots. On your right, a bleak rendition of what you assume to be Babel's Tower has been built out of steel girders, electrical wiring, and bones. Up ahead, you see human skulls whose scalps have exploded, revealing interwoven helixes of DNA strands and binary code. That's fucking peculiar. What happened to the good old-fashioned gargoyles? Unsettled by your surroundings, your eyes drift back to the woman working the reception desk. There are letters engraved in the wall above her, spelling out a slogan in twinkling silver font. Memoriae perpetuitas mutatio. You don't know much about corporate branding, let alone Smyrna Corp's specific suite of services, but you're not sure how effective that cryptic slogan must be. You hoped your aunt's documents would have provided insight. Instead, they were mostly full of vapid statements about connecting modern businesses with industry-leading talent, or some such variation of the standard tripe. You wave hello to the receptionist, but she doesn't even flinch. Her gaze remains glazed over, wholly focused on her work. She's younger than you first thought, maybe 30, likely not quite. Sickly pale, with deep, sleep-deprived bags under her eyes, each one darker than the acrylic of her tidy black turtleneck. Her hair is knotted into a dainty bun, her fingers devoid of polish or rings. They move across her keyboard like demented tap dancers. Wait, no, not her keyboard, her typewriter. It's a really, really old one made from brass, black plastic, and way too many moving parts. A relic from the 1800s that looks like it barely scraped through both world wars. And you thought your laptop was getting old. There's also a small desk bell glimmering on the counter. Maybe I should... She's a secretary, not a Victorian maid. Just say hi like a normal person. Ring it. A pleasant ding. Resounds like clinking champagne glasses. The woman's head snaps forward as though struck by an electric shock. She flashes you a beaming, not quite pearl white smile.
あなたおき
Welcome to Smyrna Corp. Do you have an appointment? The words barely seep through the woman's gritted teeth. Her grin is so tight, it hurts to watch. But there's no trace of frustration. She's the dictionary definition of too friendly, made uncomfortably manifest. Unsettled, you stumble your way through an explanation of your aunt's referral. The receptionist replies with a nod, squinting as she reads the writing on her typewriter's latest sheet. Of course, we've been expecting you. I'm afraid Mr. Burgard is running a little late this afternoon. He'll need a few more minutes until he's ready to speak with you, but you're more than welcome to pursue our visitor handbook while waiting. She gestures to a set of nearby couches and a table chock full of company pamphlets. But you're more surprised to notice someone else already sitting there, a young man with a bitter look etched into his furrowed face. Could this be another applicant for the job? Shit, your aunt never mentioned competition, and if they turn out to be competent, you could be in big trouble. Your bleak musings are cut short by the receptionist's unpainted nails tapping at her name tag. Melusine Saint San. I don't know how to pronounce that. I'm Melusine, by the way. I'll call you as soon as Mr. Burgard comes available. In the meantime, please let me know if you have any questions. With a grateful, albeit embarrassed nod, you walk away and slump in an old-fashioned sofa. Melusine's rickety typewriter clacking away once more. The couch's cushions feel quite stiff, or maybe your stress-clenched back does. Considering the ferocious stare-down you're receiving from the stranger seated across, it could well be the latter. The steady tick of a vintage clock draws your gaze. Its hands point in opposite directions. 3:42 p.m. 18 minutes left. Good thing you came early. You still have time to prepare before your interview. Probably not enough to do everything you want. You'll have to decide where to spend it. Carefully. Read through those pamphlets and find out more about Smyrna Corp. Melusine said she could answer a few questions. Why not take her up on the offer? Strike up a conversation with the irritated man. Maybe you can learn something from him. There's a magazine on the coffee table. Give it a closer look. We should probably talk to someone who works here now. Despite her extreme fatigue and even extremer stress levels, the woman definitely seemed eager to lend a hand. And what better way is there to learn about your new workplace than to ask the person paid to greet visitors? You return to the reception desk with an awkward wave, embarrassed to be disrupting the receptionist's work so soon after leaving. Yet rather than appear annoyed, the woman looks up from her typewriter with a sigh of relief, the air seeping through her voice, tight teeth with a shrill tea kettle whistle. Oh, hello again. I take it you have a few questions for me? As disclaimer, please be advised that Smyrna Corp staff cannot disclose any confidential information to members of the public. Therefore, while I will respond to your queries to the best of my ability, there may be certain details I'm forbidden to discuss. Thank you in advance for understanding. The uneasy first impression Melusine gave worsens with every word she speaks, and not just because she keeps talking without blinking her bloodshot eyes or unclenching her goddamn jaw. Even though the receptionist's responses seem professional and her tone is perfectly jovial, something about her speech pattern feels rigidly urgent, almost like she's reading the words off a script with a gun pressed to the back of her head, not thanking you for understanding, but begging you to. Is she scared of getting in trouble by letting something sensitive slip, or is she trying to secretly warn you about the office's working conditions? So what would you like to know? Maybe this isn't the right person to interrogate. Get your info from a more reliable source. She's trying to finish her work, and she's letting you know she can't divulge anything anyway. We should read through those pamphlets and find out more about the company, I believe. You snatch a brochure that seems to cover the most interesting topics, hoping it'll contain some hints about your future 9 to 5. Smyrna Corp. Your guide towards success in a post-truth future. You're mildly disgusted by the amount of insipid buzzwords featured on each page. The whole thing reeks of hyperbole, with a lesser whiff of self-congratulation. But at least it was somewhat informative. Plus, this company seems way more prestigious than you expected. The salaries must be pretty decent. You tuck the pamphlet back into the display and give the clock another glance. 3:51 p.m. You still have a few minutes left. Maybe enough to distract information from one of the other people in the room. Melisande said she could answer a few questions, wanting to take her up on her offer. Strike up a conversation with the irritated man. Maybe you can learn something from him. There's a magazine on the coffee table. Give it a closer look. I think we should try to talk with our competition. Time to break the ice. Hopefully it won't be the very thin ice you seem to be standing on with this guy. You take a seat next to the stranger, introducing yourself with a smile. Rather than ease the tension, the man scowls as if you were a clump of dog shit clinging to his shoe. His snarling voice sounds coarser than a poorly maintained gravel driveway. What the hell do you want, Ketch? Can't you tell I'm not in the mood? Well, if you couldn't tell before, you certainly can now. You gulp audibly, worried this person might assault you at a moment's notice. But as you stammer out some vague apologies, you notice something surprising. He doesn't look all that angry, let alone angry at you. In fact, he mostly looks fretful. The man's callous hands aren't balled into fists, but kneading each other with relentless worry. Sweat beads at the temples of his receding hairline, wearing down the gel, matting down his tar-black locks. One of his legs shudder visibly, its foot tapping the floor with the breakneck tempo of a meth-addled punk musician stomping a drum pedal. He reminds you of Melisande. He has the same not-quite-30s face, same darkened baggy tired eyes, same snug black turtleneck, kept tidy as a military uniform. But his name tag reads Emiliano. Wait, name tag? It hits you then that Emiliano isn't a company client or a prospective candidate after the same job you are. He's a Smyrna Corp employee. Look, pal, all your staring is going to give me a fit. Either speak up or back off, alright? Be compassionate and ask if there's something wrong. It might break him. For you, the hardest part of the job hunting was always the impression of powerlessness combined with the feeling of tremendous isolation. Even one person who could sympathize with your woes would have been a godsend. But this guy only reads your empathy as an insult. Are you brain damaged or just actively trying to screw with me? Seriously, if I'm getting laid off at the worst job I've ever had, why the hell would I want to get cheered up about it? Heck, if it weren't for this shitty exit interview, it'd be the happiest day of my life. You have a hard time picturing this being happy, but no trouble whatsoever imagining why the man was fired. Then suddenly, finally, you connected the dots. This must be the problematic employee your aunt was talking about. You cringe so hard your jaw aches. Offering to make someone feel better right before stealing the job is a level of awkward tension you weren't prepared for. Trying to recover from your embarrassment, you change the subject to this exit interview, which seems to be causing such strife. Shh, must be pretty new to Smyrna Corp if you're asking me that, huh? Look, if they just wanted to tell me no hard feelings, or ask how management could have done better, I wouldn't have a problem. But these bastards don't work that way. Every person I've ever seen get called into one of these meetings comes out looking like a walking corpse. And I don't blame them one bit. Honestly, I'd rather get castrated than go into that meeting. At least then I could bring my balls back home in a pretty little box. And it'd send a loud keep out message to whoever they've called in to take my place. Well, it's in some kind of message. Still, despite the crudeness of his metaphors and the stink of booze on his breath, you sense Emiliano's fear runs far deeper than unemployment. In fact, you get the feeling he wants to protect the person who'd be taking over his job. Should you reveal your identity? Confess your intentions and ask about the warning he has for you. After making sure the receptionist isn't eavesdropping, you whisper the truth into Emiliano's ear. His already bulging eyes grow wider as he realizes why you're here, rather than appear relieved by your presence. You suddenly sense he's deathly afraid of it.
Bone, Mateku.
You're not messing with me, are you? You really here to work at Smyrna Court? You nod, briefly explaining your precarious financial situation and assuring him you meant no offense by applying for a livelihood he's soon to be deprived of. But the booze-breathed man doesn't seem to register a single word you say. Rather, he interrupts you by leaning in so close. The surface of your respective eyeballs practically kiss.
Gocha seco.
Listen to me. It's too late for you now. The moment you walked through that door, your chance to escape disappeared. But what you can do is lessen any damage those bastards will make you inflict.
Gocha seco.
The guy who's going to interview you, Burgard. If your application satisfies him, he'll ask you to go through an evaluation. A questionnaire that's meant to give you a taste of the work we really do around here. I can't tell you more without getting up to my neck in shit, but no matter what happens, you've got to do everything in your power to fail that test, okay? His plea is earnest and full of desperation, yet it's also patiently ridiculous. Patently ridiculous. Why would you purposely flop this probatory... Why would you purposely flop this probatory evaluation when you're in dire need of a job? And what does your onboarding have to do with Emiliano's firing anyway? It doesn't make any sense. Yet it doesn't stop the man from begging even harder. This probatory evaluation.
Zutena foi.
You idiot. Do you not understand the kind of consequences this could have? This might just be a paycheck for you, but to me it could mean life or literal death. You've got to fail that test. This is beginning to sound like a warning and more like a threat, less like a warning. And judging by the alcohol-tinged spittle splattering your cheek, it's not an especially sane one. Better cut this conversation short. What can we do? At this point, our probatory situation is that we've entered something quite ominous. Our aunt has lied to us, yet has given us an opportunity. We don't know if this opportunity could mean much more for her than she's let on, but we can begin to assume now, based on what we've seen from a gilded hellhole of a workplace, that we may not be able to escape this situation without dire consequences. For our own family's sake, we must bluntly tell him that we can't afford to flop this evaluation, no matter the consequences. You don't want to make him suffer, but even your aunt's patience has limits. Without a steady pay, you could end up on the street, and the only way to prevent that is by getting hired to replace this guy. Yet as soon as you say this, Emiliano grabs your collar. Ropes of slobber paint your face as he begins to scream.
Kimale toba.
Replace me. You want to replace me? You maniac, do you have any idea what that means in a place like this, huh? Well, do you? No, you don't. Nor do you know how to escape the man's increasingly vicious, vice-like grip. No matter how much you struggle, Emiliano isn't letting go. Whimpering, you cry out for someone to save you against all expectations. A booming voice actually answers.
Come baden.
Mr. Aguilar, that's enough. Emiliano drops you instantly. His heels click as he turns to face whoever shouted, like a soldier awaiting inspection. In your peripheral vision, you see Melisande do the same thing, though her gesture is much faster and much more practiced. You, meanwhile, are on all fours gasping for air and gagging on the smell of ammoniac clear. Never has the taste of chemicals ever been so sweet. You turn to thank your savior only to choke on your breath once more. Standing in front of the elevator is, without exaggeration, the most massive man you've ever seen. He's taller than a fridge, twice as wide, and perhaps thrice as heavy. The pure white of his immaculate dentistry contrasts with his dark skin, which reflects the room's dim light like finely chiseled onyx. Beneath the perfectly tailored patterns of his elegant tweed suit, muscles shift with every breath, threatening to burst through the seams. His pale blue eyes focus on you as he speaks with a voice like velvet thunder.
Come baden.
Friend, you have my humblest apologies for my subordinate's inexcusable behavior. I'll be more than willing to discuss potential compensation if you deem it necessary, regardless of our interview's outcome. Interview, huh? This must be Mr. Burgard, your soon-to-be boss, luck willing. The ding of an elevator is suddenly heard, and one of the grillage doors by the reception desk creaks open. The tweed behemoth sidles his way into the shaft, packed tighter than tuna in a too-small can. He beckons you to join him with a bratwurst thick finger. And only slight alliteration.
Ajubonica.
Come along now. We're already behind schedule and I can't afford any more delays. What's more, I frankly cannot wait to discuss your future with us here at Smyrna Corp. Holy shit, he thinks you have a future? In that moment, Mr. Burgard's big beaming smile is the most beautiful thing you've ever seen. Thank him and slip into the elevator. It's a tight fit, but you manage to wriggle yourself into the lift by nuzzling up to your, hopefully, future boss. You apologize profusely for the cramped conditions, but he just laughs it off.
Come baden.
No need to be embarrassed. Happens all the time. Oh, and no need for all this Mr. Burgard business either. First name basis is fine by me. Before the elevator door can snap shut, someone opens their mouth and screams.
Dune, Jacoda.
Oh, booyah. Wait. The angry-looking man you were worrying about suddenly drops to his knees, hands held together in prayer. Any aura of danger that was once clung to him has been dispelled by his blubbering supplication.
Sutena foi.
Sir, I'm begging you. Just give me another chance. I swear I'll do anything. Unpaid overtime. I'll work on weekends. I'll kiss your goddamn shoes if you have to. Just please don't replace me. Mr. Burgard's only reply is a disappointing sigh. His bright white smile wavers, and tangible contempt taints his otherwise welcoming tone.
Kimau hone.
Mr. Aguilar, you've had more second chances than I can count. And displaying such undignified desperation in front of a candidate set to take over your position is not an endearing choice. Frankly, there's nothing more I can or want to do for you. beyond offering the standard company-issued severance package. The once intimidating stranger collapses as though shot in the chest. His body ripples with hiccuping wails, his fists powerfully pounding at the carpeted floor. Your maybe future boss clicks his tongue, more disappointed than disturbed. He turns to give him a melosam, a firm look and firmer orders.
Kudo bijaji.
Miss Sansam, please ensure our former staffer behaves until his offboarding is complete, will you? I'll attend to him once I'm done with our guest. The tired woman gives a nervous nod, rushing back to her typewriter as if nothing happened. The clacking keys are now punctuated by the tears of a grown man. Obuya thumbs a few buttons and the elevator doors finally slide shut. Through cracks in the grillage gates, you see the receptionist giving you a small wave, mouthing a worrisome farewell.
今じゃかも。
Good luck. Before you can decide whether she was cheering you on or trying to warn you, the floor lurches downwards. Chapter complete. Proceed to the interview. Well, at this point, I don't really know which way to go. The story has just alluded to a sense of glittering hell. One that's sort of barely bathed in the illusion of normalcy, right? There is a really fine line between, I think I've said this before, perhaps, I don't know. There's a fine line between hanging on, a tether that's about to break under the weight of all of your experience that keeps you attached to society. Below that level, is an infectious poverty that you really can't easily escape. And the stress that comes with trying to hold on to what you barely have left can make this moment more desperate than even this story is capable of describing with the words we've already read. Like, hardship in life is real. And until you've experienced a beatdown in so many ways, it's kind of hard to appreciate where this mindset in the character might be. Appreciate what you have. Life presents opportunities. Know where in this scary world your life has opportunity. It's in each and every day. It's in each and every choice. I know we didn't want to hear the words that Aunt said, but they were pertinent to the situation. And in moments like this, you know, you need to eat tomorrow, right? And while he probably could have gone down to a gas station and gotten a job, to afford enough to at least take some burden off of his aunt, to at least eat tomorrow, or to at least afford a place that feels kind of like a hovel, but at least allows aunt to rent the place out to someone who will pay her monthly and reliably. What we know is that we've gotten ourselves into a situation with clinical depression that precludes that engagement, or at least makes it feel as though we as the character are precluded from that level of social engagement. And what we're experiencing in this moment is an opportunity to break away from all that weight and shame. And fear is now driving forward the only positive action that this character is capable of seeing because of what his aunt has shown to him. So there are other options here. He could go out. He could get a job that he feels is not something he might deserve. We could sense that based on what the options were and those initial reactions to the phone call. But damn it, if you can eat tomorrow, like that's what matters. For real. And if you have other mouths you need to feed, damn it, they need to eat. That's what it comes down to. And it's really difficult. It can feel like life is taking everything just to live it. And there are a lot of people who get raw deals. There are a lot of people who get raw deals and claw their way out of a bad situation. In this moment, we can extend our character a little bit of compassion. We can extend a little bit of contempt. We can extend mercy, understanding. And honestly, we can just see if we want to continue forward with this story. I feel compelled to. You let me know in the comments if you'd like me to continue. Whether or not I record it is open, but it's an opportunity. So until then, my washed out face, we'll see you next time. Take care.